I'm going to do one more here. So the next one I want to make is I want to make these feet. So for the feet, I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to draw out the general shape. Once again, I'm just clicking with splines. There we go. Just clicking down, getting that basic shape in there. To define it. There we go, almost there. I can't see, so I'm going to hit F3 to go wireframe. I want to get up to the top. I'm going to close off the spline. Alright, so you click on the original point and then that closes it. I'm going to come back in. I actually want to get rid of these points at the bottom. I don't want to have those. There we go. Now this one, I'm going to make into geometry. I'm going to make him a little bit simpler. I'm actually going to use another modifier called Bevel, which is different from Bevel Profile. Bevel actually allows you to set up multiple bevel values. So basically you start off and you give it a height, and then it gives them thickness. You can also give it an outline. So if we make if we wanted the simplest way would be if I said 2, and then I had it go out 1, and then I have another height of 2, and then I do another one, and I just have it come back in. Oops, if I go a height of 2, and then bring it down -2, this gives me a very basic shape. Right. Looks like I have some points, some curves in here still. I know I have curves because there's really a lot of geometry, and I want to keep it low poly, or lower poly, so I'm just going to select all the points, right click and say corner. Now if I come up here and go to bevel, there we go. So that gives me my basic shape. So one thing that I could do in order to make the entire thing a little bit smaller is over here bevel, I could give it a start outline, which if I bring that in, if I bring in that start outline, that'll make it a little bit smaller to begin with. There we go. And then I still have my other bevel shapes. Now, you do see there's some interesting pinching going on. So I'm just going to come in here and refine some of this geo. I'm going to take some of that out for now. That's always, if we want to, we can always work some of that back in later. Alright, so we'll keep this a little bit simpler. Alright, so here we now have this 1 foot, and if I hide the rest of the table here, we can now see, hide our pedestal, there's the leg. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my spline, actually, I'm just going to take this guy, and I'm going to right click and say collapse to. That's going to make him edit mesh. I'm going to right click one more time and say convert to edit poly. So I'm going to go ahead and take him and zero him out in the world so that his origin is at 0. And I'm going to go into the element and click on that shape. Down here at the bottom I want to center it on Y, and then I'm going to move it out. Because now I want to try rotating him around at the top level to get him to line up. So we'll start here up with the top. So it looks like he could probably come down a little bit. There we go. And then if I was to rotate him again, I'm holding the shift key while I rotate. With angle snap on it, I'm going to rotate it as an instance. And now I can get my different legs in place. There we go. It's our table. There's the legs. We just need to take our legs and raise them up so that they sit where they need to. So it looks like the legs need to come out a little bit further. So let's go here. I'm going to take the one, oops, because they're instances, you can select multiples at once. Okay, here I am. So I'm looking at my reference. I don't want to drag these guys because that's going to change the angle, right? Because they're on there at an angle, but the one at the very top, he's straight. So looking at him, in element, I'm going to select him, just move him out until those angled guys line up, and there we go. Now, Now we have our table. So with it as an edit poly, we could go in and keep refining the shape if we want. One thing you do need to know that when you're working with splines, I'm going to go to perspective here. All right. When you're working with splines, it's a good idea to go into vertex mode and to select points and connect them together under edit vertices, connect. Sometimes you'll run into problems with geometry, where the geometry will be, when it's concave, when it comes down like this, it may end up drawing polygons instead of dynamically drawing them. If I go into edges only, you see how it dynamically draws polygons? It's got this really thin one right here. It's making a little bit of a shading error. So we're going to be going in and fixing that by individually going in and defining some connections here for these points. Like if I grab this ring and connect it once to get a point, then I can come in and connect these 2 points. Oops, thought I had them both. I did not. Connect. And then I connect here. There we go. And this is going to help me refine the overall shape. I'm going to connect this guy as well. And then over here on the side, I'm going to connect these legs. Come around. I'm not going to worry about the other side. I'm going to remove this guy actually. I'm going to go loop, remove loop, and instead I'm going to come over and manually make some connections right here. I'm going to do connect, connect, semicolon to repeat last action. And what I'm trying to do is define these shapes so that they are 3 or 4-sided polygons. Because you want to avoid anything where the geometry collapses in on itself. There we go. Perfect. Now I probably could go into this guy, and if I put, let's see if I put symmetry on. Alright, definitely don't want that axis, but I think if I do Z, there we go, that'll mirror it, right, left to right. So I'm going to right click and say collapse 2, and that'll keep that unique. And then I don't need this extra line in the middle here, so I'm going to go up to loops, remove loop, to pull him out. Then we come over here to the front, and I just want to take these verts that make up the bottom of the foot. There we go. Ooh, we got 2 points here. Look at that. I'm going to select these 2 and collapse them together to make them a triangle. And do that on both sides. I'm going to go into wireframe so I can see that I'm not selecting polygons behind. I hit F3 to do that. Alright. There we go. Now, let's grab our edges. That would be the side of that foot. And I'm just going to lower them down and then grab these vertex points here. I'm going to make those planar along Y. There we go. So now they're nice and flat. If we look at the table again from above, you see the reference it's a little bit off, needs to be a little thicker. One thing we can do with our shape is we could put a FFD modifier. I'm going to put a 4x4x4. And what that'll do is we can make it flare out at the bottom where the feet are doing this. So I'm going to grab these. Where's the one? Orbit around them. There he is. I'm going to grab these 4 points at the bottom here and then just scale those here on the top. Think of it more in the feeling of that foot. There we go. So it gives it a little bit of shape. Now if we hadn't gone through and done the edges like this, we'd end up with some weird shading errors. I'm going to right click, say collapse 2 and say yes. An element, I could click on this and say auto smooth. It's not the best. You can see there's odd shading happening. I think what we want to do is actually, I'm going to hold grab this whole thing, assign it one smoothing group, and then I'm going to select the one in the middle and hold shift and click on the ones around it and grow that selection out. Because my goal here is actually I want to grab the sides. I'm going to turn off 1, so now only the sides are 1, and then everything else will get 2. And if I want to change that up again at all, I could go in and deselect some points. Let's say I wanted this to end right here and over there, and kind of find those as a separate smoothing group. I turn off 2 and click on 3. I hold Alt to deselect again, and then these guys I'm going to assign smoothing group 4. And now I'm manually gone in and defined smoothing groups. Okay. Unhide all. Our table's getting there. I think this guy, the pedestal, let's right click and convert to edit poly. And in border, we're just going to click on that and say cap. Put a cap on the bottom. I think the last step, really, is just for us to do these little side pedestals that sit there. So if I come in here with a line, there's another alternate way would be if I made a little rectangle, and then another, one for the main body, one for the side here, and one for the very final base. And then just drew a simple little line shape right here for the angle. Say yes, close spline. I'm going to go ahead and select this rectangle and do convert to edit spline, so I can attach all these together. Oops, attach, I missed one. There we go. Now in spline mode, I could select this polygon, and I can Boolean them together. Click on Boolean. 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. And now I'm just going to take segment, and I want to get rid of all the segments that aren't these outer edges, as well as come in and grab them in vertex mode and make sure they're all corners again. And one last time, I'm going to come in and drop a lathe on it, go into the sub-object of the axis, and make sure it's large enough. So here it's only that big, but if I look at the feet, it's going to be different. So I'm going to move him out here by the other foot. There we go. Let's take a look at that axis. So that's looking about right. About like that. Close this off. Remember to double check by going display backface cull. Is he inside out? He is inside out. So we come back over, turn off flip normals, and then we can go back up to the lathe and put an edit poly on the top, and right click and say collapse 2. And we can make any final adjustments we want, like maybe lower it down a little bit, grab the top of it, and cap it off. Alright. So here in wireframe, I'm just going to move this guy over to line him up with the foot. And then I'm actually going to take the foot and actually just attach that to it, and then that'll propagate out to all of them. So now I have this table. My pedestal doesn't quite reach the top. Well, that's okay, it's an edit poly now. I'm just going to grab the polygons at the top and raise them up so that they hit the bottom. So now we have our fancy table. We can go ahead and just attach everything together, and there we go. Now we've used splines combined with edit poly to go in and make ourselves a table.